Many necklaces in the collection, but this one is really the size is very bold. Also the colors, beautiful patterns.
When we got a hold of beading and all that goes with it, we ran with it.
Thank you for joining us at Cocopah Now. I'm Jonathan Athens. Joining us, Ulises Heredia, Cocopah Museum Curator, Joe Rodriquez, Cocopah Museum Director. And for the feature of the week, we're going to get to the crux of the matter, gentlemen. It's the beaded cross. Ulises, tell us about this unique item and about how it came to your collection.
Well, it started in the 1980s. That's when the records show that it was made by Cocopah elder, male Cocopah elder. This is, I don't know, it caught my attention. There's many necklaces in the collection, but this one is really, the size is very bold. Also the colors, beautiful patterns, shapes, figures. And I don't know, it's just very like intricate, and the craftsmanship is really it's awesome. What else? We wanted to show something different, and I think that this is a beautiful piece.
It is. And Joe, tell us about the design, the construction, and actually the history of beadwork when it comes to Cocopah.
Well, beadwork came to our tribe, Cocopahs, around the middle of 1870s, and all the passers-bys and vendors, and when we got a hold of beading and all that goes with it, we ran with it, and that became a big part of our culture, where people, men and women, would use beads to make all kinds of things. And I believe it was in the 1989 February issue of Arizona Highways that states that we're so deep into beading that if you stood still long enough, we can put beads on you. And so that seems true, because we have a lot of bead workers here. This particular necklace is made by a loom, which is a large wood or metal frame. Either they'll put in nails so that we can separate the thread from each other, so they're in rows. And if not, they'll use a spring, so the spacing between the springs would hold the thread, and they would lay a row of beads in and thread it through and repeat it and change colors as they go along to create designs. And it's quite interesting. And the looms come in different sizes. They could be up to 3 feet, sometimes much larger than that, or they can come smaller. We used to sell the small wire loom in our gift shop some years ago, but it's still done today. Anytime you see a flat necklace or a bracelet or a hat band that's similar to this, it was made on the loom. It's a lot of work goes into it, especially the design of it. You have to be consistent in your pattern, so when you go around and you finish it off, it has to match like a bookmark, mirror image of it. So that's the hard part in trying to put it together and making sure that all the patterns are consistent, colors are consistent, bead size are consistent, because that's sometimes can be an issue. Sometimes beads aren't perfect, and they have their irregularities, and so they can make the necklace be out of shape, lumpy, or zigzagged. And so those are things that they have to do. When you see 1,000 beads in a little bowl and they're stringing them, you have to make sure that the beads that they pick are uniform, and without that uniformity, the piece that's done at the end will have its little disfigurations in it. So it takes a lot of work. Not just, you can't just go and do it and be done and have this type of work done.
It's not a factory.
No,
Not a factory line.
this is all hand done and a lot of work, a lot of hours put in, and so it's all of that together is a piece of art.
Some years ago, we did a story with a Cocopah elder who does beadwork, and she had told us at the time we were doing that story that these patterns are carried down by memory.
Yeah.
That they're carried down by memory. This isn't a blueprint. That this is actually things that people remember, and they pass it on and pass it on and pass it on. So this has been now 2 centuries.
Yeah.
About 2 centuries. Yeah.
Keeps going because they remember how their past family members had created and made these particular designs, and they remember it, how it was done, and the shape and the form, and it goes down from generation to generation.
Is this on display right now at the museum?
No, but we have other jewelry pieces that are on display, and you guys were talking about the history, but in the Cocopah case, history is passed through talking about it. There's not really any written records. I mean, if we have the opportunity of finding an object like this, yes, you can see the patterns and they are passed that way. But it's rare also to have these objects passed.
Yeah, definitely, because like with this particular necklace, it has a cross shaped added to it. It's a little bit more difficult because, like I mentioned earlier, it being on a loom is one straight line and it's brought over to connect it. But this one has that intersection that has to take on another type of way of in connecting that. So much different. Whereas other pieces, they'll have fringes on the bottom, loops, strands with different colors, and or adding, just to. And some of these, I've seen some of these beaded necklaces where they make them very wide. So it can be thin, it can be wide. The wider, the more creativity is involved in designing. You can have all kinds of different things inside in the patterns and mixed in. Not so much symmetrical like we see here, but they can have asymmetrical. They can have flowers or names. I have a belt. One of my aunts had made, and has my last was made for my dad. So it has our last name on it. So it was the font. It was amazing how it was done. It was just, I said, this is a lot of work done on the loom. It was a lot painstaking, just the detail to it.
Amazing, unique, and only at Cocopah. That's going to do it for us for now. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.